Hello, Sagittarius. This is for Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, the month of February 2025. Looks like some major changes or momentum in long term love relationships, maybe some issues to do with selling or buying or changing something about your home or property, as well as some interesting developments going on with how you share that resource money with other people, whether it's shared resources with a spouse or money from your home. Some changes are going on here that are quite profound. We'll be diving into all aspects, however, of how February works for you, not just those. So stay tuned. If you're new to my channel, very, very warm welcome. I am Lori Lothian, and I'm a Western tropical zodiac astrologer using the whole sign house system. And in today's astrology, we're going to be covering the chronology of the month, including two moons, a Leo moon and a Pisces moon for your consideration. However, if you want more of this kind of content, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell. I put a lot of content every month, and most of it is all signs forecasts about every single thing that's happening in our sky, including weekly and monthly and other items. Now, if you haven't caught wind of my 2025 All Signs videos, they're still available and you can get them in the description box below. What those videos are is a chance for you to basically have a navigational guidebook, PDF, plus 2-hour videos, time stamped and including quarter by quarter breakdowns of what happens in 2025 and how you can time your best life using that fundraising offer down below. And it's still on sale for 25% off till the end of January, your individual video, or you can buy the whole bundle. And it's very, very affordable. I mean, it's ridiculously cheap. All right. So let's get started. I want to talk about the beginning of the month because in the very start of this month, Venus is doing some really powerful stuff. So let's put her into the mix and talk about Venus. She's like our first story up on the storyboard of the month ahead. Venus will be coming out of a kind of constriction or stuck place that she will have been in since January in the sign of Pisces, which is your home life, your private life, your real estate, your domestic life, people in your home, what you're doing at home. And she's kind of been feeling hemmed in. Have you been feeling hemmed in a little bit since maybe 20th of January? Let me know in the comments, because she's going to come out of hemmed in into freedom, and she's going to break out of this constriction between Saturn and the North Node. We call it a malefic enclosure, and she breaks out of here on February 4th. And this means that something that was stuck in your life, something like hardship in the home, difficulty in the home, an elder female visiting the home, feeling depressed, melancholic, lonely in the home, something about love and beauty not really being fully available in the home, that kind of vibe. And maybe just feeling like, alone at home in a way that is really not working for Venus, who loves her social life. And so what happens is that she breaks free on the 4th. Well, she breaks free on the 3rd. Second and third. Okay, the second and third. And in the second and third of February, you might feel a feeling of liberation or freedom. And even as she's breaking free, she's in a triple conjunction with Neptune. And I want to point out that triple conjunction for a second, because it's really rare. I'll be doing a whole video on my YouTube channel about this triple conjunction. That's going to be an amazing, I apologize to Sagittarius. It's going to be an absolutely amazing energy, but also one of freedom. By the way, I'm having a class I'm teaching. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Just have to trust me that the three of them are all in triple conjunction in Sagittarius. This is what happens when I try to do the pin the wheel, and I can't always pin it perfectly. So when she's over here with the North Node and they're all at 28 degrees, which is on the 2nd of February, there's something magical and enchanting and mystical about it. And because it's connected to the North Node in the sign of home, property, and real estate, with Mars up there in the 8th house of mortgages and banking, just for some of you, something wants to happen to do with buying or selling or even renting property, or sudden exciting opportunities around those things. And the North Node is going to be moving through your 4th house for 18 months until summer of 2026, just like it did in mid 2006 to mid 2008. And you may have noticed that in that window of time, some of you Sagittariuses had some change of home. You moved out of a home, you expanded your home, you changed your home. And I know that to be true. My former husband is a Sag, and his marriage, ended. They got the divorce separation, and he moved out. So there's something about changing your home that's definitely on the way in the next 18 months for most of you. Expanding your home, adding a home, or changing your home, or something significant is going on here. And this is a sort of foreshadow of that, because, see, Venus is going to come back here because of retrogradation in April. In fact, she will be in she'll be in an enclosure again, like a malefic enclosure, they call it, the first 7 days of April and around the 24th of April, just like she was in January 20th to February 2nd. And so you're going to be able to connect those 3 periods, I think, and see that's where things feel hard. Something feels hard in the home. With Mars in the 7th house, it could be separating assets with someone you live with, whether it's a family member or a spouse. It could be having to separate financial or belonging or possessions, assets between you and another person. That's one example of how it could be or work. But the break through energy of Venus getting out of the enclosure and Venus doing her retrograde on March 1st and her star point in your 5th house of romance. Hint, hint, here comes some romance for some of you Sagittarius. I want you to consider joining me on my 2000 in my class. I'm teaching a class. Come and join me. Check out the wait list for early bird discount on it. It's going to be like $40. It's basically 6 weeks live with me. And we're going to have a class every week at the same time. Replays available. You can keep the content, a lot of teaching documents to understand Venus in your natal chart relative to this kind of Venus retrograde we haven't seen since 2017. And so it's going to be a really fun class together. If you want to join me, I'm going to call it Liberate, because Venus is liberating herself from malefic enclosures 3 times. And so you can liberate yourself in the similar way 3 times before the beginning of May. And the class will start March the 1st. Now, one of the things about this guy for you is that Mercury wants to deliver some good news. That's his job. News, good, bad, in between. And it looks like February 3rd, 4th, he's in the mood for making some big moves on big news. News and moves are on the go. What? Mercury's in the house of emails, phone calls, social media, short distance travel, things to do with local neighborhoods and siblings and aunts and uncles and cousins. And so news can come from these people as well. And Mercury has some news to deliver, and he's going to deliver it in a flowing relationship to Jupiter. So on the 3rd, he says, Jupiter, I got some news I want you to dispense. And then on the 4th, Jupiter goes direct and says, I'll deliver it, and he'll deliver it in your marriage house, your long-term committed love house, your long-term friendship or business partnership house, the important people in your life. And this is a nice energy because you may also look at it as Jupiter is going direct. And this is what I talked about relationship momentum. You want to go back to 2024, and you want to go back to the month of May 25th or so. Jupiter entered into your 7th house, and normally that expands a relationship that already exists, or if you were single, tries to bring in a new love story. And expanding meaning level it up, from dating to committed to living into engaging to getting married, having a baby, whatever. Level the relationship up and expand it, make it bigger than it was before. And if you're alone, bring in a big love story. And Jupiter then retrograded in October on the 9th. And he went backwards until this February 4th. Now, between February 4th and June 9th, it's no longer backtracking. It's no longer pondering, deepening the bounty, considering something that needs to be understood or known. And this could be your partner making considerations if you're married. Because then when Jupiter goes direct, decisions are made. And basically, Jupiter is heading direct on the 4th of February. Well, he's got a bead on Mercury in the 3rd house. And this is a lot of energy going on here on February 4th. And it lends itself to some kind of major conversations, decisions, or actions might be taken in a marriage or long-term relationship about will it last or won't it last? Because Jupiter is the god of blessed endings as well as bounteous new beginnings here. In the meantime, Mercury might have a short-term story around the 3rd, 4th, 5th of February to do with a bounteous, unexpected, happy travel opportunity connected to business partners, audience marketplace, and long-term love. Or similarly, some important message from a sibling connected to something to do with contractual agreements. Yeah, Jupiter's justice and law and contracts and deals are forged in the 7th house. So a contractual agreement may be on the menu for you guys, that's for sure. Coming off of the 3rd house matter, and includes business contracts for you and online business contracts and dealings. And if you do something in the online world, it could be very successful reaching your audience and marketplace the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of the month. On February 6th, all the way through to the 8th, Venus will sextile Pluto. Now, Venus and Pluto get along. They're not like antithetical, and they deepen the love of power and the power of love. But you see, Venus is in your 5th house at this time, which is about romance and pleasure and in creativity and entrepreneurship and joy and fun and your children and fertility. And as Venus is going through your fifth house, she wants to help heal that chironic wound about romantic love with your children, chironic wound with your creativity or your entrepreneurial success. And she's thinking about that a bit because she's with Chiron. She'll think about it more later on because she will retrograde March 1st before reaching him, but she's got a bead on him and she looks back over her shoulder and she sees Pluto winking at her in the third house. Well, I don't know. Could be something like February 6th to the 8th, a powerful opportunity for a creative project or a travel opportunity for leisure and romance, or a learning opportunity that helps you harness natural talents and abilities you already have. Possibly any of those are true. But if you're single looking for love, this could be on a journey or a trip or in a learning setting. Voila, you have met somebody and you're interested, or they're profoundly interested in you. Now, on February 6th as well, all the way through to the 12th, Mars and Saturn are in a trine. Mars and Saturn in a trine mean hard work pays off and perseverance, pays. And so I'm sure there's a good expression for that. And the energy of Mars, however, is in a money house and Saturn is in the home. And so sometimes this is more like by diligently working on the mortgage application, by diligently working on the stock investment portfolio, by diligently working on your choices around separation of marital assets and choosing and picking and deciding with a great perseverance, diligence, and marathon energy, perhaps between the 6th of February and the 12th, things get done in a long, enduring, hardworking way, but it's worth it. The effort is always worth it. And Saturn could also mean some kind of assets involving an elder and property and land and finalizing the decisions and the dividing of those assets. But the thing is that Mars is retrograde still. And so this is involving things from your past, and particularly things that take you back in your imagination to the month of October. So if you go back to October and where any of these like property, land, real estate, home, assets, marital assets, investment money and property, where any of these things actually up in the air for you, because now Mars is going back to redo it. Now he will turn direct. This is a month of Jupiter and Mars turning direct, but we'll get to that in chronological order. All righty. Give me a little bit of eye drops here. Yes, I am so fidgety. I'm not even going to tell you why anymore. Some people are nice about it. Some people aren't. Then we want to talk about Mercury in the heart of the sun, or Mercury conjunct the sun. Well, he's also sextiling Uranus, which is pretty damn cool, actually. Every 6 times a year, Mercury connects with the sun in a conjunction, but not always in the same sign. So Mercury will hit the heart of the sun or a conjunction to the sun on February the 9th. And this is going to happen for you in your third house. And this is about travel or learning or getting in the online world and really miking up. Do you have to go out and speak? Do you have to write? Okay, it's a new beginning or a reset button for you in a writing project, in an online project, in a business project, in a communications project, in a teaching or learning project. New beginning, reset button. Kaboom, February 9th. It lasts for 6 weeks as it unfolds. You'll see the lay of that land. But also, when the sun and Mercury come together, not only are they co-present with Pluto, powerful, transformative, and could generate some significant wealth, but they're flowing are they flowing? Squaring Uranus. So it can also be some unexpected surprises connected to work or the health of a sibling or health of an aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, or nephew. And that would be coming through an email, phone call, or text message somewhere close to the 9th, maybe a day before and after or on the 9th. That surprise, a problem with a pet, more likely not, a sibling, aunt, uncle, niece, or nephew. Also, maybe an unexpected development regarding rental properties and the word neighbors or neighborhoods. But there's some kind of jolt here as well. You're getting the information coming through, some kind of news or information showing up. I noticed that this conjunction is sextiling Chiron. And so it also brings up some kind of unprocessed wound that might still be festering in the 5th house of children, in the 5th house of romance, in the 5th house of creativity. So we'll just have to see. Let me know how that feels or plays out for you. Now, full moon, Leo, 24 degrees on February 12th. February 12th, 24-degree Leo moon is activating your 9th house of foreign shores and lands and legal and court matters. And in the 9th house, we can also do things like higher education And sometimes we can also do things like spirituality and religion. So if you're up for like a religious moment or going to church, fine. But it's more important than that. Let's get that moon up there. It's kind of layer. It's like 20, actually 24 degrees, but we don't need it perfect. See that triangle here? That's called a T-square. So the moon across from the sun with that Mercury who just got his divine message from the sun is in a square to the shock and awe of Uranus. So the T-square has got that energy that's quite tense. You already felt it building up, during the Cazimi on the 9th, 10th, but now it's more exact with the moon activating the same thing. And ultimately, there's just something destabilized here that surprises you or is unexpected. It could do with work and job. The South Node in your 10th house is going to drain a career out, flush a career or flush a job down the toilet. And even if you thought, oh, this is my dream job, I doubt you would have, but something may be changing and it's changing for your benefit. You want to see something happen that's different here and the sky is agreeing with you. So it can be a disturbance in the ethers around your career and your work. But on the moon itself, the moon is like, okay, like we're going to shine a full fulfillment light in the house of publications, book publishing, teaching, learning, traveling, spiritual philosophy, meaning and purpose of life. What seeds did you plant on the new moon around September, late August, September? There's energy going on here that is now becoming full or fruitful. And so it's now time to fulfill it or complete it in some way. And so it could be a writing project with Mercury in your 3rd house. It could be a travel plan with Mercury in your 3rd house, or an educational teaching or learning project of some sort. But look for some disruption. This moon bakes in unexpected things from the place of pets, rentals, tenancies, and also work and health. But I don't think it's a health issue in this chart. It doesn't look like it. It looks like more of a work issue. All right. So as we move into the next story, we come into the lull. I call it the lull. I call it the cell phone dead zone where there's no signal for the towers. Okay. That's because we're going to be like without a sky doing anything important. Nothing, in fact, is happening. We don't count the moon in this case. So we have an aspect free, transit free event. We have like a lull, and that's around the time frame of the 13th to the 19th. Those 6 days can be quite wonderful. When the sky's doing almost nothing, you can just chill, not be bossed around by those gnarly planets, and you can figure out what you want to do for your life because you're in charge without planetary influence. Jupiter is the lord of your sign. What would he suggest you do? Focus on that relationship, that deal, that negotiation, that legal contract. Jupiter is in the 7th house of all of those things. And maybe you can actually focus on that decision-making process that you might be under, or your partner in a longer committed term love relationship. But by being in that still point, the eye of the hurricane, nothing's happening, February 13th to 18th, use it as you want, use it for anything. The point is that Jupiter as your ruler is busy in your 3rd house of audience, marketplace, clients, business, and love partners. And that might be a place that by focusing there, you can have an undisturbed, deeper understanding of what you need to do in that part of your life with confidence and assuredness, with wisdom and truth. Mercury is moving into, on Valentine's Day, a new sign. He's moving over this little fence into your 4th house. Let's talk about what that might look like. Because as this month started, he was already traveling through your 3rd house. And your 3rd house is like, you probably were traveling. It's a travel house and Mercury loves to travel. So maybe you were busy January 28th, February 13th, traveling, socializing, writing, communicating, preparing documents, getting things built online, busy in your social media land. Those are the kinds of things Mercury does in the 3rd house. But then he's like, done. And on February 14th, yes, Valentine's, he moves into your 4th house. Your 4th house is a house that has a lot to do with how you, what are you doing in the home? What are you doing in the home anyway? Talking, communicating, miking up, thinking? Dreaming. He dreams a lot and he's a dream messenger. So pay attention to your dreams, especially from your nighttime sleeps at the midnight hour, February 14th to March the 3rd. But he's also negotiating contracts, deals, commerce, and he's flowing to Mars in the house of mortgages and lenders and banks. And so some of you might be looking at putting a house out for sale or selling a house or renting a house. And that's because of Uranus in the house of rentals. So whether you want to rent a house for yourself or rent a property out, whether you want to sell or buy a house, list your house, these are things that Mercury may want to consider doing February 14th to March the 3rd. Otherwise, there's just a lot of talking and communicating, maybe negotiating around shared assets and separation of resources and spousal problems, or things to do with an elder in the home and a lot of discussions with or about the elder. Saturn represents elder in the home. North Node is expanding your home, as I said. So a lot of you are on the precipice in the next 18 months to 2 years of a relocation. As we move forward and we continue the story, and don't forget, we're in the lull other than Mercury going into your fourth house. And as we kind of trundle along to get to the first major event, it's going to be on February the 20th. And on February the 20th, what we see is this. February 20th, we get the energy of Mercury squaring Jupiter. And although it's a square, it's still pretty good stuff. It could be a commercial success, basically. And Jupiter says contract and agreements. Fourth house says legacy wealth, could be inheritances, home, property, land, real estate, contracts and agreements made from your home, or things that you communicate busting out into the larger marketplace and audience in a very bounteous, prosperous way. But let's face it, Jupiter is in a marriage house, and we can't discount that. And because of that, consider that you may be experiencing some kind of major negotiation, conversation, or deal about a long-term love relationship. This sky doesn't make me feel like, oh yes, jump into a new relationship at this point. It really doesn't, not with all the retrogradation of Venus. Like March 1st, she starts to retrograde for 40 days. And part of that's in the romance house. So anything you start now will go in a different direction than you think. And retrograde Venus might bring lovers from the past into your life, or estranged children or something. So you just want to let her get into, I wouldn't be on the dating scene that much if I could avoid it in the month of February. Now, Mercury is going to trine Mars. Now, Mercury and Mars get along, and this is good for lots of things, ideas that you can take action on, messages that are powerful and passionate, and more. The good thing about Mercury and Mars in this condition is it's also Mars in a turnaround to head direct. I find it fascinating that Mercury trined Jupiter and he went direct, and now Mercury is going to trine Mars and he's going direct. Mercury's got a big play in the story of the month of February. So wait, this is on February 23rd, and there's Mars at 17 degrees. On that day, he will head direct. So just trust me on that. On the 23rd, he heads direct. By the time we get over here to the 24th, he's direct. So it's 23rd, 24th in that zone of time. And he's going into direct motion, and Mercury's having a convo, cheering him on. You notice that the moon as well will participate. I'm not covering that all of the time, but there may be some financial momentum regarding property, land, real estate, shared assets, investments, banking, mortgages, loans, and taxes. All of this is looking like it's a wedge, which is relatively positive. And Mercury is kind of sealing a deal here. Saturn says it's got a backbone. It's realistic. It's true and right. And, you know, if you go back to around October 9th, that's the place that Mercury's traveling in the sky. Around that degree, let me just rethink the degree. Oh, I don't know, but sometime in October, he was in the sign of Cancer in this part of the sky. So you might be thinking like, oh, October, was I trying to sell a house? Anything you're doing now could take you back to the month of October. I do think, though, that in the sky, having the moon in your second house in the sign of detriment, Mars is in detriment too. Could be a problem, but the mutual reception saves the day. Without getting too complicated, they're trying to work together, Mars and the moon. So there's trying to be a resolution of financial matters connected to legacy wealth, home, property, real estate, and marriage partners, most likely. On February 25th, Mercury will hit the wall of Saturn, but that's not always a bad thing. Mercury is a little bit dreamy, a little bit diffused, a little bit drugged up on Neptune juice. In Pisces, he's not very strong anyway. And all of a sudden, he hits Saturn, and he's doing that Saturn conjunction on the 25th. What that could look like is Saturn's realism and structure and serious and responsible nature getting Mercury by the throat and saying, let's sober up, to have a cup of coffee, would you? We got to figure this out over here. And there's just something about it. Like maybe on, February 25th, you're like, whoa, I'm in a dreamland. I've been fantasizing. My imagination got the better of me. My ideas aren't really grounded in reality. This is more realistic. Now, don't forget, I keep talking about maybe buying, selling, renting, all these other things, real estate, property, land. This would be a reality check. But a reality check that you need because you want to move forward. Mercury's going to hit that North Node, and this is all about expanding the home, destined changes in the home. So you need the reality check. Saturn's giving you a dose of reality. An example could be you put your house on the market and you've got an offer, and it's like, I don't know, 15% lower than you listed it for. Is this realistic? It might be. So look at Saturn. He's stronger here than Mercury. That something Saturn wants to offer is realistic, responsible, and wise. So, and Mercury will have to take that information in and make decisions about what to do and help you make a decision that's more reasonable. Now, the other thing going on in the sky here, if I want to do mention that, is you notice the sun has slipped in here as well, 7 days before, right? So it's around the 21st of February. And this is also indicating the solar presence means that things that are connected to foreign shores, foreign lands, passports, and visas, which sun rules your ninth house, could be implicated in this Mercury conjunction to Saturn. So keep your eye, or legal matters, courts, and justice systems. So keep your eye on those themes being activated as well. Mercury sextiles Uranus for a happy, unexpected news, information, idea. It's got the genius signature. It's very inventive. Mercury's in the home. Maybe it's you're thinking of things in the home. You got ideas and projects and communications, and then bang, Uranus says, surprise, unexpected. Hey, don't stress out. It could be very good because ultimately what Neptune might be offering is a change that's unexpected to do with work, home and work, dogs and cats, pets and tenancies and rentals, and even an unexpected opportunity to pay down a debt. You know what I mean? I'll pay off that credit card, pay off that mortgage or something like that. Just, debt reduction and debt servicing can also come out of the sixth house. So there's this kind of like kaboom. It's kind of like, yay, it's surprising, but it's positive. It is a sextile. And so look forward to that. The moon, and it could be a good health outcome. Suddenly you get some kind of health diagnosis that looks really good and you're not worried anymore. Then on the new moon on February 27th, there is a new moon. Let's put it in here. This is going to boggle your mind, okay? Boggle your mind. Watch this new moon. February 27th, you got to be kidding me, really. And that's, of course, when this Mercury-Uranus thing is most exact. And, but you're feeling it building, right? Mercury-Uranus on the 27th, the moon is on, but you feel it building 2 or 3 days before. The new moon is here, though, on the 27th, the new beginning and new seed. Let's face it, not every year do you have a new moon in your fourth house and you get a new home out of it. That would be ridiculous. But this is also with the North Node, amplifying change and expansion and growth and destiny regarding home. And Saturn's here. I think a lot of Sagittarius have felt alone, lonely, melancholy, sad, nostalgic, bummed out, heavy burden, and responsible in their home since 2023 when Saturn entered here in March. And he leaves full on in February of 26, but he's dipping out this summer. Phew. So it can tell me that this new beginning that unfolds on this new moon, which can last 6 months till the full moon, like take 6 months to unfold, could really catapult you towards looking for a new home or changing your home or new beginnings to do with home and homeland. Now, I said homeland because some people live abroad, but if you wanted to go back to your homeland because you don't like where you're living anymore, that would be a new beginning type of home as well. And new moon, new beginning, has a lot of support from Jupiter. So new beginnings from home connected to contracts, agreements, spouse, business partners, maybe as well. New beginnings. And every new moon can show up in the month that follows. Like give it like 4 weeks, see what happens. What kind of new beginnings are happening in the home that want to solidify something? But Mercury's there, marketing, selling, merchandising. Could you be setting up a dreamy home office studio, for commerce and work? And to increase your revenue from a side hustle or at home, that's all very possible here too. All right, so that's all I've got for you. I hope that was enjoyable, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future on other videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check my description box for everything I have to offer. It's under the More button, Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, Patreon community, and more. I'm losing the light, Vancouver, Canada, end of the day. It's getting dark here. Thanks for listening, guys. I'm recording January 20th, early access ad-free for my Patreon community.